The Pennsylvania Senate approves legislation to ban abortions at 20 weeks and limit how second trimester abortions are performed. It's based on model legislation from the National Right to Life Committee, and that's making its way through the nation's state houses. The governor threatens to veto the bill even if the Pennsylvania House approves it. And abortion issues are center stage at the White House. President Trump has hosted roundtables with our next guests, Marjorie Dannenfelser, President, Susan B. Anthony List, and Gerard Robinson, Resident Fellow in Education Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Marjorie, first of all, what did you think of that Pennsylvania abortion ban law?
I would not want to be that governor. This is an incredibly popular bill that's passed in 19 states so far. It's on the verge of getting passed in the United States of America across the board. It's one short vote shy of an overturn of his veto. Clearly very unpopular move.
So if he does veto that, is what you're saying, is he's really going against the rest of his party?
He is, and it's very possible that we could get that vote we need for overriding his veto.
Right, in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah. All right. Before that, we were talking and watching you walk into the White House to sit down with Donald Trump and talk about pro-life issues. What was that like for you? You've been out of there for 8 years, right?
Oh, it's been a long time since we've been there. Just walking in, I really felt like the pro-life movement was walking into the White House because of his alignment, because of his promises. We were there to talk about Judge Neil Gorsuch and what we plan to do in his confirmation battle. It was just an incredible moment of hope and optimism, excitement.
And do you believe that that Judge Gorsuch will hold up his pro-life stance?
Well, I believe that he cares about the Constitution. I think and that he believes in adhering to its word. I believe that consequence of that is that he will uphold pro-life legislation on the court. He's in his own words, he believes that the taking of a human life is always wrong. So I think this person is someone that we can trust.
Okay, Gerard, you participated in a different kind of listening session on a different day on Black History Month. What was it like for you to be in that room?
So it was an opportunity for Donald Trump to show the world the number of African Americans he had on staff, either at the White House or in different agencies. Number two, it provided opportunities for people like me to talk about education and why it's important to all children across the board, public school and otherwise, particularly African Americans. And lastly, it gave me an opportunity to also let him and Pence know that I was in charge of leading his education policy implementation team during the transition.
That's wonderful. You are an expert on education policy. You're very much a school choice advocate. How important is school choice in the African American community?
Well, just take a look at polls, whether it's from Phi Delta Kappan or whether it's from Education Next. African American parents, by a whole, support school choice, whether it's in the public schools or whether it's also charter schools. But the reality is Americans practice school choice every day, either by where they live, and that's a way of exercising choice. But for African Americans in particular who want access to great public and private schools, it's made a world of difference.
The two of you have a lot in common here because it seems to me like this issue and your issue as well are now getting a lot of play on center stage. How good is that for defunding Planned Parenthood?
Well, it's everything. It's been buried for years and years and years, and now it's front and center. We have a commitment from the president to defund and reallocate those resources. We have 200 rallies going on around the country at Planned Parenthood clinics right now. The momentum is big, and the pockets of Planned Parenthood are deep, and yet we have the White House, and we have the House, and we have the Senate. I think we're all feeling very optimistic.
And Gerard, do you have that same optimism around school choice now that Betsy DeVos is now our education secretary?
Well, she's committed to school choice both in the public sector and the private sector. One thing I will say about the Obama administration, they were pretty strong on charter schools. So the public sector choice, they were right on. Not so much on the voucher or tax credit side of the fence. With her now as Secretary of Education, and I'm glad that she's in that position, you're going to see the conversation of choice, opportunity, take a what I would call a holistic approach to delivering education.
Marjorie Dannenfelser with the Susan B. Anthony List and Gerard Robinson with the American Enterprise Institute. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.